You can increase or decrease your public trust by the actions that you take in the game. Like,
Decrease, 100%, let's go.
I'm good RoboCop, or I am bad RoboCop, is basically what it amounts to. So, Alex, Steam has had its semi-regular Next Fest recently.
I feel like it's pretty annually, isn't it?
I think so, although I do feel like it occasionally comes around a couple times a year. It feels like it's always Next Fest in my heart, at least.
Maybe. Maybe they have Next Fest and then they have a Winter Next Fest.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I can't remember, and we're not the kind of people to look this thing up.
No, so we're not going to worry about it. Anyway, the point is that they recently had Next Fest.
They did.
And the general idea of Next Fest is to give people the opportunity to play demos, previews of new games that are going to be releasing in the near future. We hope. And there were a lot to choose from, actually. I saw lists upon lists of games that you could play during Next Fest. What was your takeaway from the general offerings?
I wasn't really impressed. I didn't try a ton. I tried several that looked somewhat interesting to me.
Yeah.
And then there was just a lot of games that did not interest me in the slightest. I think I went through every game that was on Next Fest with the discovery queue for it.
Oh, sure.
And I ignored most of them.
Right. And I think a lot of them, if you don't have any interest in them, it's just going to take up time. So you probably shouldn't. I looked at it and I was impressed with the number of games that were available, but I wasn't very keen on what they were overall.
Yeah, there was like 500 games.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I looked through and they were showing like the ones that they were doing live, and so I just kind of looked at those, and I found a few that I thought I would give a go, and only one of them really was one I had heard of that I was interested in already. So I figured I'd give that a go. So I figured I could talk about those three, and if you had any you wanted to discuss, we'll do that too.
I don't remember the name of most of the ones I'd played and didn't like, so...
That's fine. If you didn't like them, not really worth talking about. I'll get us started, though. So, Enshrouded was a game that I tried.
I did see that one. It looked interesting, but I think, wasn't that one more Souls-like?
No, it wasn't. It was a survival crafting game.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of those. I tried one that was like Pirate's Life or something.
Yeah, I did not try that one. I think I saw it, but then I was like, oh, there's probably sharks in this, so I just...
don't know if there were sharks, but you're probably better off that you didn't try it. It was...
pretty terrible.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Enshrouded, for a second, I thought Enshrouded was going to be that game that Obsidian was making, but then I was like, oh, no, that's Avowed. That's a different thing entirely. But, okay, no, it's fine. I'll try this Enshrouded game. And I have to tell you, it's not bad. Like, I don't want to say that it's bad. I think that it's fine, but the problem that I had is that it didn't really do a lot that interested me. Basically, what they start you out at is they drop you into this kind of... It's a fantastical setting right out of the gate, but it's kind of low magic for you, at least at the start. However, they do introduce very quickly that you can learn magic and that you have staffs and stuff so that you can utilize it. You go through a little cave system where they're explaining the basic combat. It's, lock-on combat, and eventually you learn how to make basic weaponry at the crafting table and stuff. It's pretty straightforward. One of the interesting things, though, that they do is they allow you to, use your pick and your axe pretty much anywhere in the world. So, you go to a cave, and there's ores and stuff around. You can use your pick, and you can chip away at the actual landscape itself. It's not like nodes that you go up to.
Is it destructible landscape?
Yeah, it's like destructible landscape where your actual stone will chip away. And theoretically, I guess if you wanted to and you wanted to dig straight down, you could keep digging straight down, almost like in Minecraft, where you can build that.
I do like that. That sounds neat.
That was the neat thing about it. I liked that. However, I will tell you that it's a little bit surface level, only because, like, I went in to one of the caves that was nearby. I had to kill the wolves before I got in there. But then I get in there, and there's this little, like, staging piece of wood that's there, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess maybe I can make a camp here. That was my normal thinking. Except that in order to make a camp, you have to put down a beacon, but the beacon has to have enough clear space around it before you can put it down. So I actually didn't have enough space in the cave to put a base in. But then I was like,
you just gotta dig the cave out.
I guess
you can fit a beacon.
I guess I gotta dig the cave out. It looked like it was gonna take me some time. I needed wood. So I took my handy axe and I chopped up some of the actual staging. And I took the legs all out, and there's just this, like, wooden platform now just hanging in midair, because it is very much Minecraft in that way. It's like, yeah.
I believe Valheim does a similar thing.
Actually, I was surprised because Valheim, will, disallow you from doing a lot of that if you take out all the supports out. In fact, I've had times when I was playing Valheim where when a tree got knocked down, if it hits other trees on its way down, it knocks all the other trees down in its wake in Valheim.
Good.
Yeah.
Easy way then. Easy way to chop wood.
Yeah, it was also a really easy way for me to accidentally kill myself because the trees fell on me.
Yeah.
So,
anyways.
Anywho, Enshrouded. So they give you some base building ability where you can make stone and wood blocks and you can put them in. I think that my big problem was it had some adventuring elements, like you can create hook shots and you can get across ravines and stuff, but the base building part, the blocks that they give you are so small that it took me forever to get a wall together, and I just sat there, and I can only place them individually. It's not like I can just place a giant area and say, I want to make a wall this big with the 100... Because, like Alex, they say, okay, take this stone, and you can make stone blocks with it, and they give you 100 blocks for the amount of stone that you put in. Because they figure that you're going to use 100 blocks to make, like, one side of your building. If you want to make it any
That's a bit tedious.
It is. Doors didn't seem to snap very well, either. They just kind of hang out in a general vicinity of where the door should go. That's a problem that they will probably rectify before the game comes out in its entirety. I can't blame them for giving you time with the game. They actually start a timer of like 8 hours that you could play the game. And it doesn't seem like it was really like shut off in many ways. I guess there were some trees that weren't available in the demo.
Sure, it sounds more like here's basically what the full game gives you, but you're only allowed to play it for this amount of time, essentially.
Exactly. Now, the one neat thing is that I did eventually get to a big tower, and there were like some traps you had to get around in the tower, and you went up to the top, and something happened. I don't really remember what, but you could look out on the world and stuff. And when I got to that point, I was like, okay, we're good. So I only really played a couple hours, but fall damage is a thing, and they have a lot of cliff faces, so I died quite a few times just from misstepping.
I feel like games in that vein are interesting at one point, but also I don't like them a lot of times. Like, I enjoy base building and mechanics like that,
yes.
but and adventuring and exploring and gathering resources is fun, but then when you mix it with heavier combat elements and bosses and like stuff like that, something gets lost to me in the translation, where you've got two things I enjoy on their own, but the intersection doesn't ever feel good.
Yeah, I think it was tonally a little all over the place. I mean, I liked the concept. I can kind of understand where they'd be like, hey, we're almost doing an adventure game, but it's also got all these crafting elements and stuff like that. But I just found that, the way that they set those systems up, especially with base building, was just more tedious than anything else. And that is a problem with these kinds of crafting survival games that I've rarely seen addressed by the game devs to make it less tedious. Just, like, the thing that they could have done, especially for building the houses and stuff, is either have pre-made frameworks, sort of like they did in almost like Fallout 4, you know, where you could make pre-made cabins and stuff if you had the materials, or do the layout stuff where they're like, yeah, you want to build, like they do with fencing in some of those games, where it's like, yeah, fencing from here to here, and you just drag it across and say, okay, now, like, how high do you want it? Almost like you're in a build mode. There's some stuff they could have done to really, expedite that instead of piecemealing
we can have a talk about this actual topic itself at a later date, because I have some thoughts on that type of
base building
stuff as well.
Yeah,
base building and how intimate you want that, and how how nitty gritty you should and shouldn't get. We can do a whole segment about that sometime. Let's
we're putting it on the list, everybody. We're talking about base building at some point. Enjoy.
And not even just base building, but like structure building, because like for the Sims, it's not a base, it's a home, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Although I suppose if you collected enough resources, you could end up making it your own factory if you wanted to build a factory. You'd build.
Sure.
You could do it.
Yeah, we can get into Satisfactory then too, because they have base building technically.
Oh yeah, they certainly.
Anyways.
Do. But at any rate, Enshrouded in its current state, not great. But it's got potential. Maybe when it releases, I think later in the year, it will be in slightly better shape. But it wasn't bad. It was just blah.
So I played a demo of a game called The Crust.
Okay.
And,
better than the filling.
The Crust. The filling, yes. So this is a base building game, but not in the same sense. This is more akin to I guess the premise is you're doing a colony on the moon.
Oh, okay.
And you get rovers, and you get factories, and you can mine on the moon. So you have, it's not an RTS, but it is a, did you play Frostpunk?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
so
that.
Part of, you can explore some of the moon like Frostpunk with sending out expeditions.
Okay.
But really you're doing like factory stuff on the moon, and then I think you can also, I hadn't gotten there, but it looks like you can get stuff for colonists. There was some big accident on Earth, and now you need to ship out resources to them and all this stuff. One of the cool things is you get the surface of the moon. You can build your base, your buildings, and power supply for solar panels and stuff. Use drones to do a lot of the heavy lifting for hauling and resource gathering. But you can also, you build an elevator, and you can go down underneath the surface of the moon.
Oh, interesting.
And you can mine that out in big chunks. So a lot of your mining is actually going on under the surface.
Oh.
And that's really neat, because you've got basically your overworld, the surface of the moon, where you're building a base and probably building colonies. I didn't get far enough to build colonist stuff yet. Mm-hmm. And then you can go underneath, and you've got supply chains. You've got conveyor belts, and you've got mines and factories and all the things down there to do that. And then you can build conveyor belt lifts that go up to the surface. So it's like a mix between like a factory game, a base building game, and then like a resource, management game. It's kind of like Satisfactory meets Frostpunk meets like Dwarf Fortress almost, or something akin to that.
That's
not as in depth as.
Yeah,
it's a little strange. Had I thought a bit more on it when I was playing it, it's kind of similar to like Dyson Sphere as well. But it was interesting. I liked a lot of. To me, I was talking to some other friends who had tried it, who were a lot more critical of it than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a game designer, but that's fine. Treb, you can do what you want. I thought it was a decent take. I thought it was interesting because you don't usually see surface and then underground like that done in that way.
Sure.
And there were tech trees to make things more efficient, to make it so you could do other, technologies and all that good stuff.
Sure.
I thought it was interesting, though. I hadn't really seen a game that takes place mining on the moon before. They had a whole feedback thing. I was like, one of the things I would love you to do is take that camera tether and make it so you can, scoot down a little or further back, because you're kind of just pointing at the moon the whole time. And space is a really good backdrop.
Yeah.
Especially when you can see Earth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, if you untether it, let you move down a little so you can see the night sky.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising that in a space game that they didn't use a skybox to really emphasize the fact that they're in space.
Yeah, that's even, I left feedback. I was like, even if it's just a skybox, it still looks nice.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the whole moon, though, because you can send out the expeditions around the entire moon to do stuff, just explore, you do see Earth in the background. You can rotate around, you can see the Earth, but it's I would like it when I'm on the surface of the moon seeing stars.
Sure.
I thought it was interesting. I think there's still a demo if you want to try it. I don't know if you're really into factory colony building games like that.
I've tried my hand at a few of them. They're hit or miss. They're hit or miss.
They are. I always want to like them, and RimWorld, for instance, I have a love-hate relationship with.
Sure.
Because on one hand, it's fun. On the other hand, I get bored. So it's usually the fact that a lot of them are sandbox games, where it's, here you go, just survive, and I'm like, that's not enough to keep me engaged.
Right.
This one has a sandbox mode, I believe, but there is also a story campaign, so
yeah,
I like that. Personally a fan.
I wouldn't mind if those were a little bit more directed in their content, so that I had clear objectives as to what I was going to do. I've played too many of those colony games where it's here's the 50 different lists that you have to maintain, and here's all of your menus. Enjoy all of your menus, and now, be the best colony builder, and then you're just off to the races.
And I get it, a lot of it is focused on, emerging gameplay, and, random events happening and stuff like that. Dwarf Fortress, for instance, is not, first and foremost, a colony sim, it is a life sim. Sure. It is we've generated hundreds of thousands of years of history, and, there's tons of stories you can tell with it. I'm not looking at the characters' thoughts and stuff. I'm just focusing on building this base.
Yeah.
I don't care about, I had tea today. Cool. Yeah, I know I made tea. Good job, guys. I'm glad you ate.
Yeah. They narrate the whole thing like it was Bastion.
Yeah. Crust, decent. I thought, as I said, my friend who's a game designer was kind of a lot more critical of it. He's kind of shallow. I'm like, sure, but sometimes you just want shallow games.
I think the one neat thing from what you're describing is the setting. The idea of doing it on the moon is a neat idea.
The writing wasn't great. It doesn't have to be great, though. It just has to be serviceable. Right. I get it. You're corporate. You're very by the books. You're not very interesting characters. I don't care about you, but, at least there's something there.
Yeah. You're telling me that they're not all going to be wonderfully built, space epic stories like the other ones that we've played? Okay. Yeah.
All the characters in fucking Starfield.
I was actually thinking about, what is it, Hardspace Shipbreaker, because that one
actually has decent characters.
Yeah, it has an actual storyline, but the focus is on the gameplay itself. So, so it kind of like that.
Yeah, but they did a really good job with the characters and the story too, though, so.
Yeah, no, and by the end, the story is center point about what they're trying to do, and it had a lot of interesting stuff there.
I gotta play that again.
You definitely should. You gotta get to the end of the story, that's the thing.
I gotta get out of debt? Damn.
Yeah.
Anyways, next game.
Complete the story, you might actually do that. So the next one that I had is the one that I actually had heard about that I wanted to try. And I saw that it was on Next Fest, and I was like, okay, this is my opportunity, I am going to try it out. And that game is RoboCop Rogue City. So, RoboCop Rogue City, in case you don't remember, RoboCop was a movie in the 80s.
I vaguely remember that being a thing.
A movie that I frankly have not seen, but am a little familiar with just like the lore or the message of the movies, and why
I'm
people
not.
remember. Oh, okay.
I remember what the character looks like, but I don't remember anything about it.
Right. The basic idea is that there was a police officer, and he died, or he got grievously wounded, and they brought him back as RoboCop, so that he could do what the regular cops couldn't do. And he gets into a regular car, but he's all metal now. And so Murphy, who is now RoboCop, goes and patrols the streets to keep them safe. But the overall message, as a lot of people will say, is that it was a cautionary tale about over-policing and the idea of disproportionate response to crime. That there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek.
How has that gone over in the last 40 years?
No one took any of RoboCop's advice. But anyway, I was kind of wondering what they were going to do with a game that was based on RoboCop. And
please tell me it's GTA, but you're a RoboCop.
I wish I could. I can't actually say that. I really wish I could. But I will tell you that the opening sequence made me start wondering if they understood the whole point of RoboCop. Because you're Murphy, and as RoboCop, they basically say there are bad guys and they're holding people hostage at the television station, and you've got to free them, Murphy. And so RoboCop's like, affirmative, I will go and deal with that. And you get your pistol and you go in, and it's basically a first-person shooter for the majority of this first act, where I'm just plugging guys left and right going through the place. I got the feeling like they were really happy with the level of like shooty McShooty face stuff that they were doing in the game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that up at the front, and I almost pieced out of it because I was like, oh, is this just a first-person shooter where I go around shooting things, which seems kind of... I mean, I guess that's kind of something RoboCop did a lot of, but I don't necessarily know if that's with the theme of the game or the movie. But at any rate, you go and free probably some of the people, considering, from the radio station, and at the end of that section, there's a little back and forth with some of the characters that maybe Murphy is glitching, and that he might be a danger to the people of the city. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. Well, now they're adding some depth. Maybe I'll see more of it in the main game. But the demo kept going. I was surprised. It takes you back to the police station, you get debriefed, and you go into another mission after that. And the thing that was really interesting about this is that it's at this point that they introduce things like your tech trees, which reminded me a little bit almost of Deus Ex, where you have points that you can put into different disciplines, sometimes in weaponry, but there's also investigation, so that you're able to observe and locate evidence in the world, pick that up, you get experience for it, and also diplomacy. And this is something I found fascinating, is that there's a whole mini-mission in this where you're helping out the cops at the desk by taking complaints from half of his line and trying to figure out the correct, response. You can increase or decrease your public trust by the actions that you take in the game. Like,
increase 100%. Let's go.
I'm good RoboCop, or I am bad RoboCop, is basically what it amounts to.
So it's Fable, but you're RoboCop.
Yeah, I guess so. It's framed as, like, individual mission areas. So it's gonna remind you a little bit more of, in structure, maybe more like Dishonored or Deus Ex in terms of what it looks like. They create, like, almost open world areas, but they are contained open world areas that you drive to. They are a bit shallow. A lot of the buildings are not really enterable, they're just scenery. And they have a few open world elements, like you can identify crimes that are going on in the world and say, hey, you're illegally parked here, I'm issuing a ticket, and you can issue the ticket to the car. But the thing that's really kind of jarring is that it goes from this talky thing where you're going through a bunch of dialogue options and trying to, restore public trust in the RoboCop. And then, after you do that, during which I might say there is no shooting going on, nor can you shoot at all in these portions, to the places where they're obviously like, now is the shooting section, and your gun comes out, and it's now a shooting gallery for that section until you get to the end, and then it's dialogue, and there's no shooting involved. So it's very jarring, this juxtaposition between these two completely different kinds of games where I'm just going very slowly, because again, I'm RoboCop, so I can't move very fast. I'm going very slowly through this open world where there's no combat at all, nor even the option to do that, and I'm just talking a lot. And then they kind of go, oh, this is where the bad guys are, and then you go down there, and then the only option to deal with it is Shooty McShooty Face. So,
Nice.
So I can't tell you that it's like an immersive sim or anything, because there's no options. You just do what the game wants you to do. But they try to add in all of this element of, making choices in the game about how you're going to address things. Little surface level, slower paced than I would have really liked, but I was kind of surprised that they added in as many elements as they did. I don't necessarily know if it helps the formula by doing the narrative portion, where you're just asking a bunch of questions from randos on the street and such. It's a little all over the place in terms of its framing, so I don't know if it's something I'm going to be looking forward to when it comes out. But I did, for a brief moment in time, get to be the RoboCop, but I can't really tell you that it made me feel like RoboCop.
Did it make you want to become a robotic cop when you die?
It made me want to be Spider-Man, but not RoboCop. Not
fair.
Not RoboCop. Sorry, Murphy. Was there one other that you wanted to discuss?
Not that I could remember enjoying enough to talk about, honestly. Well,
don't worry.
I tried something that kind of felt like a Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley type thing, and it was pretty bad.
And you don't even remember the name, do you?
Not even a little bit. Like, the art style was somewhat okay, but, like, the build controls were terrible, and the farming was terrible, and I was like, I've played 20 minutes of this, and I don't like it. Let's not do this anymore.
I've kind of stepped away from, when people will be like, here's another farming game. It's like, I've played so many farming games. If I want to do it, I'm going to play one of those. I don't need new ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
I already have like 5 that I could go back to if I wanted to play one of those games, and I don't think you're going to do anything particularly revolutionary in that vein. But at any rate, so I was done with Enshrouded, and I was done with RoboCop, and I was like, well, we're going to take a 180, and I'm going to try something very different. And I saw this game that was called My Horse Bonded Spirits.
I saw that.
And it's a game where you learn how to be a horse girl, basically. You learn how to take care of a horse and ride the horse. I think what they were trying to go for is like the Barbie horse adventure from back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's still around.
Exactly. And you know what? I've never played that particular game, but I'm thinking it's probably better than this because My Horse Bonded Spirits is bad. I'm not gonna lie. And not just from the I don't really know why I'm playing the horse game.
Yeah. I mean, I did see that until Crave. I went, hey, look, you can be a horse girl. Why didn't you get this game to play the demo of?
The problem with the game is not really the part where, like, if the game felt good to play, I'd be like, oh, well, at least it tried. At least it did something. It might not be for me, but I needed to find out what this was. The thing about it is that it doesn't feel good to play. It is jarring in terms of how they do the menu system. Resource management and the UI are very rudimentary, and then it commits a real cardinal sin, which is once I actually get on the horse and I try to ride the horse, the controls are just... I don't know what they were thinking. Just think about this for a second. You've probably played a few games where you ride a horse.
Couple.
Okay.
Couple.
When you get onto the horse, what do you figure you're gonna do to make the horse go fast? What are you gonna...
You spur it on.
You spur it on, yeah, and usually that will be like a key, like some button that you push, or a button that makes you go fast, or a button that makes you sprint, or something like that. So what they decided
or double tapping the key for moving.
Oh yeah, double tap. Yeah. Or click the button if you're using a gamepad, something like that. And It's like, great, that would be terrific. They don't.
So I hope they take a page out of Weird RPG and it's voice command.
No, but that would be terrific, wouldn't it?
Go.
Yeah, no, that would have been more interesting. What they do instead is that they basically use like your Q and E keys on the keyboard to reduce or lower your speed of the horse. So you're in different horse speed modes.
So you're using an acceleration control for the horse, like it's a throttle, like you're shifting horse gears.
Like you're shifting horse gears, yeah. But it doesn't kick in right away. So when you get to the part where I have to actually like jump over the hurdles, because there's courses you can go around where you're jumping over the hurdles and everything. I kept missing them because I couldn't get up to speed fast enough, so I'm like trotting along, and I'm like trying to make the speed go faster, and it's just like, yeah, we'll get there eventually. And so I go to try to leap over the thing, and I do this like, and I fall right on top of the hurdles every single time. And I get to the end, and it's like, you got 0 out of 5 hurdles. Well, yeah, of course I fucking did.
I hope it said good job after it too.
It was like, wow, 1, you could do better than that. It's like, yeah, I bet I could.
Try again.
If I could make my horse go at any speed, that would be terrific. There's a lot of busy work. You have to equip individual things like the brush, and then you can brush your horse, and there's contact clues for that. You're supposed to go around and talk to the different people that are in the world.
I thought you were going to say go around and talk to the different horses.
No, but again, that would have been a much more interesting thing. A Mr. Ed simulator. Roach, yeah, from that one mission that actually was good. There's a weird part like at the end after you do the little go around the field with your horse kind of thing, which again didn't feel very satisfying. Very jerky movement on the horse, where they're like, hey, there's somebody that's camping out on your farm. Okay.
Put them to work.
Well, yeah, there's just a dude in like a twig and leaf outhouse that he made, sort of thing, and he's just like, oh, I'm sorry that I'm on your family's property, and you're like, well, can you build things? And he's like, yeah, I'll build you stuff. Well, okay, I can see what a great job you did on your twig and stick house. I can't wait to see what you do to make my stables look better.
Yeah, twig and stick stables. Good job. My horses are so angry.
Turns out
Look at them. They flop onto hurdles.
Turns out that the guy that's in the woods that made like a hovel out of sticks and twigs is actually a Finnish carpenter, and he can do some pretty impressive work when you put him to... Oh, yeah, I should say that the actual storyline is supposed to be that, like, you're the horse girl, right? And you're getting punished by your family. Now your punishment is you have to oversee these horse stables and ride horses all day. So it's sort of like a Good Life where your protagonist doesn't want to be there the whole time, which I thought was fun. But yeah, it's not great. I don't really know what they were trying to accomplish with this, except maybe kind of going, hey, you know, I remember the old game, it was called that Bobby Horse Adventure. People like the Bobby Horse Adventure. I bet we could make one that is definitely not a licensed property, and we could sell that. But it's bad. It's a bad Barbie Horse Adventure. I'm not a Barbie horse girl in a Barbie horse world.
That's fantastic. It's so drastic. I don't know.
Made of plastic, isn't it? I can't remember the words.
Anyway,
Aqua was a Euro pop band from back in the...
Yeah,
anyway,
we don't talk about Aqua.
We don't talk about Aqua. Anyway, so those were the 3 that I tried, and it went, meh. It was me.
Yeah, I wasn't really impressed with a bunch of games. Again, there's that one that I played. I did like it, so it's on my wish list still, and I'm hoping they improve it and make it fun, and I might buy it if it goes on sale. I don't know. I've got so many other games to play that it's hard.
Yeah. So my general takeaway is none of these 3 I probably will have any interest in getting when they release.
Yeah.
I mean, as much fun as My Horse Bonded Spirits was, I
need you to complete that one and report back to it.
I need to 100% My Horse. Great.
Yep.
Can't wait. Gonna be
I hope there's an
the
achievement
worst.
that spent 1,000 hours playing this game. Good luck.
My Horse this century. Anyway. I'm interested to know if anyone else had played anything during Next Fest, and if you did, please let us know in the comments down below. Yes.
In fact, if you're still listening, frequent commenter and friend of our show, Clayton Calix, has played a bunch on Next Fest, and I believe he was doing 2 videos a day during Next Fest for games. So go check him out, give him some love from us, because he's always so great to us here.
That's right, and apparently is far more committed to playing all of these things than we were, because not a lot that really tickled my fancy on there, I gotta be honest.